Hello, this is the Watchdog and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the Lacz Denton LD9106 homage to Amido Ocean Star GMT. Let's start out with the wrist check. I'm wearing a Taviz T801 homage to a Rolex Submariner. And Greg was wearing my Skami 1379. I told Grogu about Newton's second law and how force was equal to mass times acceleration, and how Newton made no mention whatsoever of midichlorians. Grogu angrily said he knows for a fact that midichlorians are an essential part of force calculation, and he doesn't give two figs about what Newton thinks. Alright, let's take a look at the watch. It comes in a box very similar to a Pagani design box. In fact, it even comes with a Pagani design NATO strap. So it makes you think that the companies are probably related. So let's take a look at the watch. And here it is. When it comes to Chinese homage watches, they usually stick to the more popular brands such as Rolex, Omega, and Tudor. But every now and then a more obscure homage pops up, and this Lacz Denton is a clear homage to the Amido Ocean Star. The Amido Ocean Star is famous in the watch world for being one of the more affordable instances of a true traveler's GMT watch. Of course, affordable is relative, and the watch still costs well over $1,000. This Lacz Denton is a bit more affordable at under $100, but unfortunately you will not get a true traveler's GMT with an independently set hour hand. You also get a bit of a size reduction, as this is a 40mm compared to the Amido's 44mm width. The watch is 40.1mm at the bezel, 47mm lug to lug with protruding end links, and it's 54.7 if you measure at the end links. It is 12.9mm thick, has a 20mm lug width, and it tapers down to 16mm before you get to the clasp, and it weighs 147 grams on the supplied bracelet with two links removed. The bezel is 120 click bidirectional with a ceramic insert. It clicks in both directions. Normally one would celebrate a bidirectional bezel on the GMT because in most cases the bezel is a 24-hour bezel used to track time zones. However, this watch has a dive time bezel and thus should be unidirectional. The action is kind of mushy with soft, quiet clicks, so you can hardly hear them. And it's kind of, you feel a little bit of gasket resistance. So it's, even though it's really soft clicks, it's still kind of difficult to turn. But there are solid clicks and there's no back play whatsoever. Of course, back play is kind of irrelevant considering this is bidirectional. And it does have a lume pip and everything does line up just nice. So let's go ahead and line that up. Alright, as you can see, it lines up just nice. Has a flat black dial with the Lacz Denton name and logo printed on top. Then it just says automatic on the bottom with no mention of the 200 meters water resistance. It does give the water resistance on the back, on the case back. It has applied Lume baton indices with double squares at the 6 and the 12. Single square at the 3 next to the date window. It has Lume skeleton hands and a rather large GMT hand, which I often mistake for the minute hand due to the large size. Has a Lume arrow tipped second hand. 3 o'clock date with no border or cyclops, and then it has a chapter ring on the shroud with the 24-hour markers, and you cannot rotate it. So you can only use this to track 2 time zones. The sign crown is a push-pull, providing 200 meters of water resistance. Some may be skeptical about 200 meters without a screw down, but the purpose of a screw down is to keep the crown from popping out while underwater. This push-pull is so stiff that I don't think there is much chance of that happening. Also, hand winding the watch is quite difficult. It's hard to get a good grip and it's very stiff, and these crown guards don't help either, and the crown's a little bit small. If the crown was a bit bigger, didn't have the crown guards, it'd be easier to turn, but hand winding this watch is quite a chore. In fact, if I have to hand wind it, I'll just shake it instead. The crystal is a flat sapphire that sticks up just barely past the bezel. I don't think there's any AR coating. You can see quite a bit of reflection. The case is solid stainless steel. It's brushed on top and polished on the sides and the bottom. The case back is a coin edge screw down. It has the Lacz Denton name but not the model number. It says automatic stainless steel and gives it 200 meters water resistance. Then it has a map on the earth on the back. Underneath the case back is the Pearl DJ5833, which is the go-to automatic GMT movement of watches in this price range. This is not a true Traveler's GMT watch with a jumping hour hand, nor does the GMT hand jump, thus saying the GMT hand is a kind of a pain. This is just the reality of these cheaper GMT watches. You put the crown in the second position once you find it, and then you move the crown counterclockwise and it turns the GMT hand only in one direction. So if you go too far, you have to go all the way around again. It makes daylight savings a real chore. It'd be nice if it had a jumping GMT hand at least. You can't expect a real Traveler's GMT at this price, but a jumping GMT would be great. It's running about 10 seconds slow, which I found a bit surprising because every time I set the watch, it was a bit fast. So I changed the position and there was a drastic change to only -1 second, but increased the beat error to 0.4, and you can really start to make out 2 lines on the screen. So position really does matter. So I changed it one more time and it moved it into the positive time. The bracelet is an oyster style with solid protruding end links. It has polished center links and the center links are fixed to the edge links, so it's not fully articulating. It has screw pin adjusters and the watch does come with a tiny screwdriver, but please get a good set of screwdrivers as the screwdriver is not very good. The sign clasp is an oyster style clasp. I often complain about oyster style clasp on non-Rolex homages, unless they have some sort of glide lock feature. This one only has the easy link. The easy link lets you pull out the bracelet just a little bit and gives you a couple of millimeters of extension. And you have to pull out the easy link to use the micro adjust. The micro adjust are these little slots inside the clasp, and you have to get a tool to release the spring bars inside these tiny little slots here. So it's quite a chore to use the micro adjust. Here's the watch on my 7.5 inch wrist. I think it looks nice. It wears nice. It's comfortable. It's not too heavy. And once again, I had to remove 2 links to fit this on my wrist. Here we are in the Lume room. Just wearing the watch, I knew the Lume was pretty good. So I think this is going to be a pretty good test. Looks like we have 3 colors here. BGW9 on the hands, including the GMT hand. C3 on the indices. And I'm not sure about the pip, which is a really deep blue. So I don't know if that is BGW9 or not. Everything is doing quite well, and the indices fade first as it should be. And look at that Lume pip. Not only is it keeping up with the minute hand, I would say it's just a bit better. Usually on these AliExpress watches, the Lume pips disappoint, but not this one. What do I like about this watch? Well, it looks nice. It's a really good looking watch, and it's kind of nice to have something that isn't a GMT Master homage. Has a great Lume. I mean, the Lume is first rate for a watch at this price. And I really like the color of the ceramic bezel. Has this nice deep blue. What are my gripes and groans? Well, you shouldn't have a bi-directional bezel on a dive style watch. Plus the crown is very difficult, hard to pull, And pushing in can often jump the hand, and pulling out can jump the hand. It just doesn't give you very much confidence when you use it. And hand widening it is really difficult. And I don't like the fact that it has an oyster style clasp on a non-Rolex homage. I can forgive these if you're homaging a Rolex, but when you're homaging something else, use a different clasp. It's so much easier to adjust another style. Do I recommend this watch? Well, I think this watch looks great, and I can forgive a bidirectional bezel on my desk diver, but oh, that crown is so bad. Maybe my fingers are still hurting from the crown on that Tendorio bronze Captain Willard that I reviewed before this one. If anyone has this watch and is struggling with the crown, please comment below. Maybe I got a bad one, but I have to review the one I got. Well, thank you for watching my review of the Lacz Denton LD9106 homage to a Mito Ocean Star. And I will be back with another review because I've unboxed the world just about. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.